When I share my story, it's about more than building an inspirational space for artists. I represent the creative spirit of the nation, the Choctaw Nation.
I am our past.
I am our present.
I am our future.
I am all of us. When we share, we become one.
Because our stories make us more.
Stories keep our culture alive.
See them and share them at togetherwe'remore.com.
People don't know what it is to be champions. Oklahoma invented it.
Go ahead, Alan.
I was just gonna say that fucking Will Leach article. Reading that, I was like, that's not a jinx, man.
Dude, there's no such thing as a jinx with this. Seriously, is Arch Manning the first flop of college football? No, because we've seen flops.
Because Chris Sims, right?
Yeah. Chris Sims. There you go. OU Texas week. We're back through the keyhole. What's up, everybody? That was Alan Kenny. I'm Brady Trantham, and with us as well is Matthew Burton. How's everybody doing, Matt? How you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm great. This week is dragging, by the way, dude. It's only Tuesday. It's only Tuesday, and we are, still got to talk about this game for another 3 days.
It's dragging because, when OU beats Auburn, you have a bye week to look forward to, and that's all well and good in theory, but then once Saturday rolls around and you don't have OU football to watch, you appreciate watching other games, but it's like, man, you don't get to watch OU today. That's a bummer. And then you have Kent State to look forward to. That's why this is drag, because we've just let's get to the Cotton Bowl. Let's go. Alan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
Hell yeah, we're all here, except for, if you can't tell, Mr. Peyton Guthrie. He is traveling. He had mentioned he's in Annapolis right now for work. So hopefully Peyton gets all of his stuff done and is ready to watch the game on Saturday. But
he's joining the Navy.
Oh no! Well, he's gonna help them do PT, right? That's what he's gonna go help them run a lot. Let's see, Home Field Apparel. Go check them out, homefieldapparel.com. They're the exclusive apparel sponsor through the Keyhole. And then special thanks as well to our other sponsors, the Choctaw Nation, the title sponsor. Thank you very much to them. Kaizen Performance Gym in Norman. And then, of course, the Spirit Shop also in Norman. It's a fairly local operation we've got going here. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, through the Keyhole there, Keyhole Pod on Twitter. Of course, we've got a Patreon page where, Alan, you wrote something that got a lot of people, at least making them feel better about the line that was Texas being favored. Now, that line has shifted slightly in favor of OU, but still Texas is a 1.5 point favorite as I can recall. But you put something up on patreon.com/thekeyhole that got people a little bit more information why, with Texas being 3-2, OU being 5-0. Well, why is Texas still favored? Go check that out.
People were talking about that.
We're a quiet bunch, OU fans, when it comes to our online nature. So, just a few peeps here and there, but you went ahead and gave them the infos that they desperately needed on on Keyhole Pod as well. That's the free website, and then patreon.com/throughthekeyhole. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple and Spotify. And of course, you can always leave comments and questions on Spotify as well. But yes, we said Chris Sims 0.5 seconds into this episode, because that means it's OU Texas week. And there's a lot to go over, and we could basically do an episode on any one of these topics that we're about to kind of unravel. But let's try to get the big stuff out of the way first before we get to the big picture that is OU Texas. Before we get to any final thoughts from Kent State or Michael Hawkins or O-line, because that's gonna delve into the game as well for OU Texas. So let's before we get there. Pete Thamel did report earlier today that John Mateer is pushing to play, and it seemed to get all the insiders, like the people at Scoop, had Eli Letterman point out that yesterday, for practice, OU did practice indoors at the Everest training facility. A little bit more on that later. Um, was it to hide John Mateer? Was it to, do this or that? It kind of all coincided with that report, Alan, that John Mateer could very well make his return after missing just a game this Saturday against Texas. And on the No Cap recap, which you can exclusively hear on Patreon, where we go over the after basically after every game, that's our post game episode. I got a status check from all three of you, and at the time, you guys were all like, it was 3-1. Me being the only person thinking John Mateer was going to play against Texas. You all thought that John Mateer wasn't. So, did Thamel's report and all the chatter that surrounded it earlier today, Alan, is that changing your mind? Did the
No.
line moving towards OU change your mind? What's going on?
No, nothing's changed my mind about that. I mean, the way I look at it, first of all, like what did Thamel report exactly? Like I mean I read it and it's like it's the exact same thing that everyone's been saying for weeks.
Basically that he wants to play. That's
yeah, exactly.
John Mateer really
Exactly.
wants to play.
And there's something like there is a belief he could be available, like a belief among whom or according to whom? I
Possible,
mean,
yeah, the possibility.
yeah.
All these
Right.
words.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I mean, I believe, I guess. I don't know. No, I don't. I still don't think he's playing. I mean, it's awfully, it's awfully funny, the idea that, first of all, Thamel didn't report anything new. And second of all, that this is coming out on a Tuesday. Well, I mean, like, I mean, if it's true, what incentive does OU have to get that out there, like in the ether?
Well, I mean, none, because like I'd already mentioned, they practice inside, which what does that mean? It's not like practices are public anyway. Well, as some of you might remember or know, I do part time at Sooners on SI with John Hoover and Ryan Chapman. So on Mondays, I do go to practice, and basically, I'm just there to hold a camera for Ryan and SI and get some video to help them get upload videos from Monday practice. And usually, we'll just hang out under the stadium and wait for their for the SID to come squire us upstairs to go talk to the players. And usually, where we're hiding, like where we're kind of hanging out before, is you can see the corner of the practice field, and you can kind of see they've got it like blacked off or blacked out, on the fence, so you can't see specifically, but you can tell that they're out there practicing. And yesterday, they were inside the Everest training facility, which of course we cannot see from where we are. Even if we could, they would have it closed. So it's like, huh? Barry Trimble did ask him about Brent, or he did ask Brent Venables about it today at the press conference, and he specifically asked, is it because you're trying to hide John Mateer? Is it because it's Texas week and you don't want Texas spies out there lurking around? And Brent Venables said, no, it's 90 degrees outside. So we've gotten brand new AC in the building, so we're going to use it. So, I mean, Alan, are we hashtag soft now? It's too hot outside to practice.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. No, I mean, there's clearly, I mean, there's mind games being played here. That's the only, I mean, in my opinion.
I think with everything that's been said by OU, everything that's been said by the public, including, like a Chipotle employee, everything that's been reported from, outside reporting, like Pete Thamel, you could really just go either way with it. Like, you can use all this evidence to say he is playing, or you can use all this evidence to say he's not playing. This is all just BS to get Texas to spend more time preparing for John Mateer, and then they realize, oh, it's Mike Hawkins. So is that fair to say, Alan?
I mean, yes, that's kind of what I've been hinting at here, that they want Texas to prepare for Mateer. Yes.
Okay, well, does the line moving like, to someone who doesn't really care that much about sports betting? I mean, I saw Josh Pate say that he had some bookie sources say that yes, that is because there is a belief that OU might have Mateer out there. I mean, what does it do if OU still an underdog, or if it turns into a push by kickoff?
Oh, I mean, most of the time when these lines move during the week, that would signal that signals that a respected bettor has made a big bet on one side or the other, right? Now sometimes information gets out there that starts moving things, so there's always that. But like, it's very hard to say. It's kind of like when people are reporting on the stock market, right? And they're like, oh, well, this report came out and this stock, jumped up. And it's like, we don't know that that's why the stock actually jumped, right? We just know that it happened after this report came out. It could be that they have information, maybe that material play. It could be that there's respected bet. I mean, I really, that part of it, I'm not entirely sure.
I mean, Matt, do you feel it all different after today, or are you still kind of in line with what you thought on Sunday?
Um, I think the only thing I'm not to be a full like sitting on the fence guy, but um, for me, whenever we're looking at John Mateer not playing in this game, I think that for me would be like, hey, maybe him and his family and agent, right? Like these kids have agents now. They're getting NIL money. They're getting everything like that. Uh, I could see them sitting down and being like, listen, you're going to have an opportunity to make a lot more millions of dollars than you're making right now. Let's just go ahead and wait until it's 100%. If that's against South Carolina, if that's back home against Ole Miss in a few weeks, why don't we just do that? And you're still going to have chances. Like, I mean, Ole Miss, LSU, Alabama, Tennessee, like you're still going to have chances to prove it against the best teams in the country. Like, I don't know. For me, that's where I would be looking at it. Like, okay, yeah, no, he's not going to play. Like, just kind of being cautious and being safe with it while also having some realistic goals, right? I mean, if you drop a game against Texas with Michael Hawkins as your starting quarterback, it's really not the end of the world. Like, obviously, OU fans are gonna be pissed losing to Texas again. I fully get that, but for like the rest of OU's season, it doesn't go down the drain with one loss with your backup quarterback against Texas. It just doesn't. The like competitor part in me, and I'm sure John Mateer is feeling like this, is probably asking, like, what's the chance of re-injury? And if there's not a high chance of re-injury, if it's just a pain tolerance thing, just load me up with meds, and I'll thug it out for 3 hours in Dallas at 2:30. So I don't know. Like, I would still say no, but it's definitely shaken a little bit. My previous answer on the no cap recap.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I said on the Monday post on Patreon that I still think that he's going to play. I've thought that since they reported this 2.5 weeks ago, and it was just a gut feeling. Like, it's not like I'm talking to anybody about this. It's just a gut feeling that I've had. And like I wrote on the Monday post, the closer we get, admittedly, I just get more and more nervous. But that's just because the closer you get to the game, it's a big game. You just get more and more nervous and start thinking of ways of how you can be disappointed. But that's what we're here for, is to talk about all the ins and outs as much as we can. So it's just going to be people are going to react to the availability report tomorrow, and then Thursday night, and then Friday night. It's going to be a thing. It's okay. No one's going to know until Saturday at 2:30 or just like a few minutes before. So it is what it is. But this kind of segues us into, okay, well, if he's not going to play, then who is? And that would be Michael Hawkins. So, Alan, now that we've had a few more days from the Kent State game and from that performance from Michael Hawkins Jr., has anything soured on that performance for you? With more time, is there just a better sense of perspective in terms of, okay, like some things weren't as bad as I thought, some things weren't as good as I thought. I mean, what overall do you feel with Michael Hawkins in the event that he is the guy on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I was just coming out of the game. I was kind of just disappointed. I was hoping to see that he had made a few more strides, taking a few steps forward. now that he has what I would assume to be better quality coaching around him. And I didn't feel like we saw that. I some of his mechanics and things like that, I mean the sidearm throws and everything. Our friend Carter Bryan actually did a pretty good video on it with the sidearm throws and all that.
He looked nervous.
Yeah, that exactly. And when that happens, I got to assume that contributes in a lot of ways to, bad footwork, that type of stuff, right? Um, so you hope he you'd hope he would settle down. But in terms of having like more space and taking a longer view of it or anything like that, I can't say that I've seen anything since then, rewatching it or that just stood out as, oh, okay, I got that wrong or whatever. I think at this point, what you're really hoping for is that you're going to get a better kind of, if it's Michael Hawkins, a better scheme, better suited to what he's comfortable doing and what fits his skill set. Something that's kind of tailor made for that type of for him as a quarterback from Ben Arbuckle.
Are you ready for the new era of sports in Oklahoma? Want to be ready for some real Southern football? Kaizen Performance in Norman, Oklahoma is your spot for physical and mental growth. By empowering a lifestyle of constant, continuous improvement, Kaizen Performance's gym experience lends itself from the experienced training fanatics to those who want to make a positive change in their lives and everyone in between. Come see their new location at 158 Armstrong Court in Norman, Oklahoma. With experienced trainers who understand that every client has individual desires and needs, in-person and online customized training programs and nutrition plans, Kaizen Performance has everything to offer for you to meet your goals. Again, their new location is 158 Armstrong Court, Norman, Oklahoma, 73071. Seriously, Brady works out there, and so does Peyton when he comes to home games. Come work out with us and get ready for the week-to-week grind of real Southern football. Kaizen Performance, Norman's own local gym where your goals are a workout away.
Yeah, and that's been my thought as well. OU, Brent Venables, Ben Arbuckle, they know right now if John Mateer is going to play or not. And they knew a few weeks ago if it was actually realistic, if John Mateer was going to be able to come back by the Texas game. And if they knew that, no, it's not realistic, and especially if they know now that he's not going to play, I have no doubt that their bye week, the week of Kent State, and this week, they've been running a particular offense that suits Michael Hawkins' strengths and basically ask him to do things that they know that he can do and doesn't ask him to do a lot of things that they feel like he cannot do, like stand in the pocket and scan the field and throw with confidence, because he did not do that against Kent State. He did not do that very much at all last year. So whatever they have in store for Texas, they did not do that against Kent State. It will be a surprise to everybody in terms of the offensive attack on Saturday if it is Michael Hawkins. I mean, to me, guys, what needs to improve more is the offensive line play. If the offensive line protects as well as they can, even against a team like Texas with their defensive line, because we've seen this offensive line go up against Michigan's, and their defense is what, 7th in SP plus in the country. Texas is 4th, so it's fairly comparable in terms of talent, in terms of capability, right there. OU's offensive line played extremely well in that environment against a team like that. So if they can protect Michael Hawkins, John Mateer, whomever it may be, that should just be that should be enough to just like go out there and just do run the play, execute it. You're going to be protected. It's going to be fine. I mean, Alan, do you think it's more important for the offensive line to get their head out of their ass, or are we hoping that Michael Hawkins has like a Trevor Knight out of body experience?
Well, they seem to be kind of correlated, right? Like, they seem to be connected. I think that if the offensive line plays better, we're going to get a better effort out of Hawkins. He'll be more comfortable. I doubt that he was expecting to be. Let's be real. It's not like Michael Hawkins was under assault or something like that on Saturday, right? But there was probably a lot more pressure coming from Kent State's defense, which is horrible, than he expected. So anything you can do to help settle him down, I think is a big one. So it's while you could say, oh, it's a chicken egg thing, I think you're right in the sense that I'd like to start with the offensive line playing decent football. I bet, like I don't think that's a lot to ask for.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to ask your guys' game predictions just like specifically, but let me just ask your guys' expectations in the event Michael Hawkins is the quarterback. Matt, since you're on a Monday through Friday radio show, if you knew right now Michael Hawkins was the quarterback, would you still expect OU to go down there and win, or would you say no, Texas should win?
I would probably say Texas should win.
Alan?
I'd be very hopeful that OU could win, but I would say that Texas should win in that scenario.
Okay, so I guess that kind of answered the question for me then, because if that be the case, then we're hoping for a Michael Hawkins out of body experience like Trevor Knight in the Sugar Bowl then. So it doesn't matter what the offensive line does, or it doesn't matter what anybody else does.
I wouldn't expect I wouldn't expect a 34-3 ball game like it was last year. Like I wouldn't expect that, but I would still expect Texas to pull out the win.
Yeah, I mean, like I envision this being a tight game either way, and it doesn't matter if Hawkins or Mateer is quarterbacking for OU. I don't envision OU blowing Texas out or getting blown out, right? So, when you say like we're expecting an out of body experience or something like that, I don't think that Michael Hawkins has to play out of his mind, but I just worry about like kind of OU's ability to hit all of its layups, if that makes sense. When you got a quarterback like Hawkins, playing as opposed to a Mateer who's clearly more consistent on a down from a down to down basis.
Yeah, I mean, I think but that plays into what I think we are all assuming that they're going to have a different offense that's catered to Michael Hawkins, which would increase the chance that he hits his layups more. Because, I mean, one thing you can say about Michael Hawkins is he does take care of the football. So it's not like you're throwing in an inexperienced guy with a turnover problem. It's not like your backup is Jackson Arnold and it's just like, oh God. Look, Michael Hawkins is a much worse quarterback than John Mateer. Michael Hawkins was disappointing against Kent State. I was disappointed personally because I was very excited that he stayed at OU, and I was hopefully assuming that with competent coaching for an entire offseason that we would see a different player whenever he would get garbage time opportunities. And he got garbage time opportunity against Temple and didn't look particularly good. He looked like the same guy we saw last year. And then last Saturday, he didn't really do anything to excite me. But he also didn't really do much to make me feel like, it's going to be an absolute disaster if he has to be the quarterback. Because even last year, he had the fumble towards the right before halftime. And then he had a handful of plays that were just kind of like, oh, God. Like double faking and not throwing the ball, which was that coaching telling him to not throw the ball. We're never going to know. Launching a ball at the end of the game into the end zone on a fourth down, or he had an earlier fourth down where he just kind of threw the ball out of bounds and didn't even give OU a chance. But OU didn't have an offensive line. OU didn't have any receivers. Zion Kearney was their best receiver that day. And so that's why I just keep coming back to, guys, Texas's offensive line fucking sucks. They're awful. They're just as bad as OU's was last year. But everyone is so enamored with Texas in theory, because in theory, they have all these skill position guys, and Arch Manning can do one thing, and it's throw football far away that way. Well, how do you throw deep balls? You sit back in the pocket for a few seconds and let that motherfucker develop. Guess what? That can't happen against this defensive line with that offensive line. So any potential that you think Texas can do is undermined by Oklahoma's strengths. It's compounded by Texas's biggest weakness, which is their offensive line. And OU's got a quarterback in Hawkins that at the very least doesn't turn the football over, but he has skill position players around him that, if you, like you said, Alan, if you just hit the layups, let them go ball out, that should be fine. That's why I look at this like OU should win if Michael Hawkins is the quarterback. That's my expectation. But I mean, am I being too fanboyish, Alan?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, you mentioned Arch has one thing that he does well, throwing it deep. I mean, I'd also argue that Arch can beat you with his feet.
Oh,
And
that's true. He's athletic. Yes.
so like that brings a kind of a different element too in how you approach uh how you rush him or how you might, set up your defense because we saw it against Ohio State. We saw it last week at Florida. I mean, he snapped off some big gains, especially in key spots where they just didn't have contained for him, right? But one of the things that it's kind of more stuff like if I'm Texas, I'm looking at this game, right? And I'm thinking, okay, like I don't need to get back in there and just rock Hawkins' world, right? I think, what I would be doing is saying, okay, I'm going to keep him in the pocket. I want him contained, and I want to make him consistently hit like 7, 10 yard throws, right? And I, I just haven't seen that yet from him. And so like that's where I just, if you just set up a defense and just say, hey, we're going to give you this area right here, you need to be able to hit this time and again. Man, I just it's kind of one of those I'm still in prove it mode with him.
Yeah, and that's true. But I think in fairness to that, and we talked about this on No Cap, he couldn't have proven that. He couldn't have given you that even against Kent State.
Yes, yeah, I would 100% concede that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, if he had gone 24 of 24 and didn't overthrow guys, especially overthrow Keontez Lewis on the first throw of the game and get him hurt, if he didn't miss Carrion, I've been saying carry on this entire time. I believe it's Carrion now.
Apparently, yeah, that's what
Yeah, so
Toby Rowland's been saying.
Yeah, so I apologize. If he didn't miss him early in the game, that would have been a big chunk play. Might have given him a chance to break a tackle and score a touchdown on that deep slant. Yes, he made mistakes, but we were only ever going to find out if Michael Hawkins has made a jump in this game. And it's much different. It's a much different situation than the one that he had last year. And I think that plays into an advantage for him as well. He saw the Cotton Bowl from the standpoint of about the lowest of the low that you could possibly get. You have no offensive line. You have no skill players. You are a true freshman starting in your second game against, what were they, the number 2, number 3 team in the country last year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And they started out fairly well. It unraveled itself when Taylor Tatum fumbled. Then Michael Hawkins followed it up with a fumble of his own. But like I've mentioned a dozen times about Michael Hawkins and his turnovers, it's not like their carelessness. It's their fumbles that I understand. Like, yeah, the guy made a play. It's not like he's got bad ball security. It happens, unfortunately. So, I mean, Matt, I guess I'll ask you the same thing. When you hear me rant about that, when you hear me go off on it, because like it's just getting kind of frustrating to me because, okay, OU fans, if you think Michael Hawkins sucks, then don't watch the game. Don't go. What are we excited for? I mean, OU's got one of the best, if not the best defense in the country, which plays right into Texas's weaknesses. If the shoe were on the other foot and OU had a bad offensive line and all those problems that Texas has had already, I would not be confident whatsoever going into this game. So, I mean, how do you see it?
Yeah. And like I said, man, I'm not like I would probably pick a Texas win if Michael Hawkins for sure is going to start and play the game. But I don't think it's going to be like it was last year. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be 34-3. Like, I mean, they have guys that can actually make plays on the outside. Jared Canick's been doing a good job as well. Like, I mean, the only thing is that they can't run the football. They cannot run the football still, and that would be a huge help in this game. It feels like, but man, I don't know. Even with the way like Florida played, scored 29, all that stuff. Like I still kind of believe in Texas's defense a little bit, especially up front, man. And I don't know how you could watch what OU's offensive line put on tape against Kent State and feel really good about them blocking one of the best pass rushers in college football and Colin Simmons. Like that kid is an absolute monster. So like,
Can
and
he
again,
stop the run?
huh?
I always read how like, yeah, go rush the quarterback, but if you ask Colin Simmons to stop the run, he's just like, yeah, I didn't sign up for this.
I saw 3 straight plays they ran it to his
Yeah,
side, and he made
stuffed. Yeah,
3 straight tackles for loss, like
yeah.
three
Well, good
straight.
for him.
But but yeah, no, I don't know, man. So we'll see. Anthony Hill, great linebacker as well. Like I mean, I'm a believer in Texas defense, and like going back and watching the Ohio State Texas game, man, like Ohio State had shitty field position for like the entire game. Like, and that's one thing where OU special teams has to be awesome. I mean, you can't fall behind the field position battle in this game early and expect go make a bunch of 90-yard drives like to end up in points somehow. So that would be my thing, especially if that field position is bad. I'm not expecting Michael Hawkins to lead multiple 90-yard drives for touchdowns or just field goals at all. So and I think Texas, like, I mean, again, like OU has been a little leaky at times in the secondary, not like fully, but they've been leaky at times. And it's just, can they give Arch enough time to make some of those explosive throws? Like I don't know. They really haven't. But this for me is like OU's defensive line needs to, like, whatever they brought against Michigan and Auburn, that needs to get turned up even more. And it feels like this group right now is like they don't really need to prove it to anyone anymore, but it feels like they are self-motivated. This defensive line group is self-motivated to be like, no, like we are in prove it mode every single weekend. And you love that from your defensive line, man. They're playing some elite football. So I don't know, man. I think I'm with Alan. I think it's a close game either way, but yeah, I don't think I saw enough from Hawkins or OU's offensive line, and certainly not their run game to confidently pick them to win.
Well, I mean, we've done a really good job of talking about essentially or beating around the bush about why OU can't win this game because they can't run the ball or because Texas has a great defense in their own right, or look at the problems that Texas had or presented for Ohio State in their game or even Florida. It's not like OU's going to run the ball like Florida did. So that's all well and good. What does Texas do well offensively? Can they have explosive plays? Like they 3 or 4 explosive plays a game?
I mean, they certainly try to set up explosive stuff. I mean, it hasn't really worked out that well for them. I mean, that's Sark's deal is the downfield shots and Manning. I mean, a lot of his throws haven't been good, but I mean, he can hit those, but they don't really have they don't have he does like you've mentioned like previously he doesn't have the time to really even set those routes up. And I guess it was Brooks Austin, the film guide whatever, who kind of showed like play after play everything that Sark had set up was 17 yards down the field. There were no short routes in there, nothing intermediate. And I mean, that is something I imagine will be added to the playbook this week, unless of course Arch can't throw those.
Yeah, and isn't that what Michigan tried to do? I mean, at first they tried to they tested Oklahoma's defensive speed because they were running a lot of stuff horizontally, and they quickly realized fuck that shit. And then they realized, well, we can't block them long enough to develop long passing plays, so we're going to have to try to, pick them apart over the middle, intermediate passing, and they didn't really have that much success. Isn't that kind of the same thing that they tried?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that Texas does have better receivers than what Michigan had out there, though, and guys
Yeah.
that if they catch the ball, I'd be more concerned about than anybody Michigan had.
And yeah, and that's true, but I mean, I don't know, guys. I'll admit, I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed. It's OU Texas. I'm not saying OU's going to kick the crap out of Texas. I'm I'm just saying that if the shoe were on the other foot, I think none of us would have any confidence that OU could win a game with the flaws that Texas presents. with what they have. If OU had those flaws, there'd just be absolutely zero chance. I mean, Oklahoma's offensive line, yeah, they've not established consistently the ability to be able to open up holes in the running game for any running back. That's a concern. That's a concern Saturday. It's going to be a concern, the rest of the season unless they can pull their head out of their asses. Other than that, they've gone up against the number 7 SP plus defense and the number 15 SP plus defense in Auburn, and they protected their quarterback very well. They did basically as much as they could against very, very talented NFL caliber players and great college football units.
The give a damn meter will be way higher for OU's offensive line. So I don't know, what that equates to, but
that is a fair point. I mean, there's no way that Derek Simmons throws up another game like the one he played on Saturday. Like,
you'd hope not.
unless he's just completely lost his faculties or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah. I mean, so stuff like that. Yeah, you can definitely expect that to come through. Yeah.
We also haven't really talked about the possibility of John Mateer actually playing. Like, we haven't really done that. We talked a lot about Michael Hawkins going. I mean, I'm down to talk if Mateer plays.
I mean, if Mateer plays, I mean, I'm not going to play this what if scenario of if he plays, like how injured is he or how much is he going to be able to do? If you're healthy enough to be on the field, you're healthy. Sorry. It is whatever. If you have the luxury of winning the game, that's when you can kind of retroactively go back and explain some things. So because OU beat Auburn, when I was telling you guys how I thought John Mateer sucked in the first half, because OU won, we had the luxury of going back and going, oh, he broke his thumb in the first quarter. That's why he sucked in the first half. Yeah. When you lose, you don't get that luxury because you don't need to lose. And Brent Venables cannot lose this game. And I do want to talk about that a little bit later. But if John Mateer's out there, I'm expecting OU not only to win, I would pick them to win. Michael Hawkins plays. If I knew that right now, I would still expect OU to win because of all the things I've kind of talked about. Would I pick them to win? That's a different story because it is OU Texas. And I agree with you, Alan. I agree with, I was on West of Everest on Sunday, and Grant and I talked about this ad nauseum. Michael Hawkins couldn't have proven anything against Kent State, but what he did show us was if he does it, we'll find out on Saturday, and that's not necessarily a very comfortable feeling going into a game of this magnitude. And there's also the this is more for fans, but we are fans, so that's why I'm going to bring it up. But you don't want to be the team that Arch Manning, quote unquote, figures it out against. Like, oh my God, I would just burn every TV and smartphone to the ground. I wouldn't want to hear anything or watch anything for a while if OU's defense just has a bad day, because who would want that? I guess let's talk a little bit about, we've kind of talked about the offensive line, the defensive line. We've kind of touched on this in terms of OU secondary having a little bit of a propensity of getting cooked. They did get Eli Bowen back. He did start. He played, 23, 25 snaps against Kent State. Gentry Williams only played like a handful of snaps. I'm going to assume that it's going to be Eli and Gentry. Would you guys? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also going to assume, Alan, that because it's really easy to just sit here and assume that, oh man, Brent likes to be aggressive and he's going to want to go after Arch Manning and he's going to want to exploit this offensive line because he should, because they're bad. You should absolutely do that. So we're going to expect the same Auburn defensive plan where you put your corners on an island. Now, again, if Eli Bowen is back to full strength, good. Gentry Williams, same thing. You've got two proven corners that can handle themselves relatively well on an island with skill position players that Texas is going to be able to trot out there. At the same time, I don't think it's going to be the same thing. It's not like Arch Manning hasn't been good, but he's not Jackson Arnold. He doesn't have a penchant for making mistakes or standing in the pocket too long for no reason. Arch Manning stands in the pocket too long because his coach asks him to for some stupid reason. So, what would you expect from a Brent Venables defense with this game, with Texas's flaws? to kind of help out the secondary, but also truly exploit their offensive line?
Well, I think that the interesting question in that's kind of embedded in that is like what does OU need to do to generate pressure, right? Because I think that Auburn had draft picks on their offensive line. They have a better line with better talent than what Texas has out there, right? So it makes sense. You got to bring extra guys. You got to just dial up a few blitzes, what have you, and you also know about Jackson Arnold's propensity to kind of fold in that situation, right? With Texas, do you need to bring extra guys to get pressure? Or is it also just more a matter of being exploitative, right? Like, oh, okay, we don't need to bring this blitzer, but we think that there's a chance we're going to, get a negative play out of this if we do, that type of thing, right? I personally would I mean I would be playing a little looser. In my coverage schemes, I'd be looking to give more help over the top, especially knowing how Sark likes to dial those up. So I wouldn't necessarily be expecting, I guess, the same number of kind of like games that it looked like Venables was playing with Hugh Freeze, which, with Freeze with that offense, it's very much a joystick offense. It's him looking over there and saying, okay, giving the signal to Arnold, and it's like you're doing this or this, and you can give him different looks to, you know, bait him into bad to the wrong decisions, that type of thing. I don't think we're going to be getting that.
I mean, Matt, does getting Eli Bowen back do anything for you? Because you were the one who brought up the Cortland Guillory getting cooked by Cam Coleman experience.
Yeah.
Does Eli coming back do anything for you? I mean, I don't really know what to expect from a guy. I know I just said that if you're out there, you're healthy, but in terms of ability, like I'm not stupid. I don't know what to expect from a guy who missed all of spring, all of summer, all of fall camp, and really just started practicing for the first time a few weeks ago, and he got some burn out there. So hopefully, I mean, if he starts, then Brent Venables and the defensive staff saw enough that yeah, you're good enough to go up against Texas, and you're our best shot. So I mean, does him coming back do anything for you?
It does. Also, in Cortland's defense, even Brent Venables after that Auburn game was like, "Listen, I put him in some really bad spots. Like I did that to him. Like
Yeah.
I did that to him. I could have put him in a lot better position to succeed. But so no, Cortland's still going to play. Like he's still going to play. I think at least to start off though, would make me feel a little bit more comfortable with Eli and Gentry, two guys who have played in this game. I know Eli's last year didn't go like great for the team, right? But I mean, at least he has some experience being in that environment, starting that game. Gentry's come up with a big play in this game before, a couple of them. I think he recovered a fumble as well as that pick on Quinn Ewers to kind of start the game. So, yeah, I think just as from an experience standpoint of playing in the game, that'd make me feel a little bit better if Eli was out there to start.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me feel better. Eli's a proven player. Cortland, I think, can be good. His pass interference kind of annoyed me against Kent State. It's
Yeah.
one play, but it was kind of ticky tack, but still, I mean,
It
please.
felt like a give up, like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Devon Jordan shouldn't play. um, he's not had good moments. He bit on the Cam Coleman double move, and Jackson Arnold thankfully overthrew him because that's what Jackson Arnold does. And then he had a play where he was in good position, kind of turned his head, and then just kind of didn't make the play on at the very end of the game against Kent State, and they gave up like a 30 or 40-yard chunk play. That was annoying. But yeah, Eli's good. Gentry's been good, especially if he's obviously if he's healthy. So they're at full strength. Therefore, there's really no excuse. I mean, to me, guys, it's as simple as this. It's either you can look at this two ways. Texas has played at Ohio State and at Florida, two very hostile environments. So you could say, well, Arch Manning will walk into the Cotton Bowl having already been in this game twice as a backup. So he knows what to expect, even though it's different when you're on the field. But I mean, at the shoe, at the swamp, I mean, those are hostile environments. So he's well seasoned in the hostile environment department. He's not performed awesomely in those environments, but You could say, well, third time's a charm. He's well prepared for this. So it could be that, or it could just be God looks down at Texas and smiles on them on Saturday, and they just hit play after play after play, and there's just nothing you can do. And then they don't have if it's Michael Hawkins, they don't have the offense and the quarterback to match. Like that to me is the recipe for Texas just kind of running away with it. In my opinion, though, what could randomly happen is Texas just has some random fortune and runs the ball pretty well, which would be the first time that someone would be able to do it against Oklahoma's defense this season. And really all of last year. I mean, OU's run defense under Brent Venables has been awesome since he's been here. Alan, what do you see from Texas's run game? Because obviously, if you have a quarterback who's learning kind of on the fly, even though he's 27 years old and he's been in college for a long time, you want him to have a competent running game. Well, other than Texas' offensive line not being very good, how come Texas hasn't really run the ball particularly well? And they have Arch Manning, who is a running threat in his own right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think their backs are all that great, and the best one has been hurt, right? Wisner has missed some time, I think. Um, I mean, gosh, I almost feel like if I were in Sark's shoes, right, like I'd just go completely the opposite way. I'd barely ever run personally in this game. It just feels like aside from keeping the defense honest, that is one benefit, and you can sprinkle in some running that way. Like it's just not going to get anything. You're not going to be able to get much going. So I mean, I'd be looking to put it more on Arch's arm, and maybe letting him, kind of cook if he was able to, get some running lanes himself on dropbacks. But like I don't I just to me like that's like running into a brick wall if you're Texas.
I mean, do you guys know or have an opinion on like what Florida did in terms of them running the football? I mean, what made them successful against this Texas defense when they chose to run it?
They got a really good back.
Yeah.
The Jaden
Yeah.
Bach kid. He's
Yeah,
really
I mean
good.
230 pounds, right?
I
Yeah.
mean, is Florida's offensive line particularly good? Is that a strength of their team?
Yeah, it's solid. It's definitely, I mean, is it like what Miami has? No, but it's pretty good.
Is it much better than Oklahoma's? Like significantly better, or are they just fairly comparable? I'm
And it's
doing the
better.
juggling.
I think it's better.
Okay.
I mean, like to sit here and say like league's better, I don't know, but I think it's better.
Also, Florida had that freshman kid make his debut, the Dallas Wilson kid at
That
receiver.
yeah.
OU, I don't think OU has a guy that's like that. That kid is
Yeah, I
special.
mean that's a one man gang out there at receiver. It really is.
Okay. Well, what can OU do offensively? I mean, I guess like, all right. Let me ask you guys this real quick because you guys both don't really think John Mateer is going to play. If John Mateer does play, Alan, do you suddenly shift and think, oh, you should win this game or will win this game?
Um, I don't know. I have a hard time just envisioning Mateer playing and being healthy. You know what I mean? Like I have a hard time envisioning him being able to play and like be what we've seen so far. Um, so I think I like I feel better about his, ability to um operate the offense and, especially distributing the ball, getting it to the right spots, even hurt, right? Um, the I think in fact what I might even be more worried about with Mateer is his ability to like maintain control of the ball when he's running or avoiding getting hurt again, when he's running just based on the injury itself.
Yeah, I mean that's always going to be the fear. I mean, well, 2009, Sam comes back the week before the Texas game and gets hurt for the rest of the year. What, a minute or two into the Texas game after OU had already drove the field. It was mainly on one big play to DeMarco Murray. They kick a field goal and then he gets hurt on their next drive. So that's always going to be in the minds of OU fans, something like that, if John Mateer does play. But I mean, Matt, if Mateer plays, do you shift your thoughts Because again, like if he's out there, he's healthy enough. So I just expect run the offense and do your Heisman stuff like we've seen through the first 4 games that he's played.
I mean, yeah, I would expect OU to win. Now, if you're selling me like, or if you want me to say OU goes and wins by 2 scores, I don't think that's the case either. But no, I would say I would expect OU to win if John Mateer goes out and plays. But Todd Lisenby, I was on with him a couple weeks ago. He was filling in for Tyler Neal. It was the Friday before the bye week. And he kind of made a point that I didn't know, like, I didn't really think of, I guess, when talking about Mateer and like running the ball, right? If that was, we were obviously talking about the Texas game, and the QB run game's been a big thing with John Mateer. Like, he kind of made the opposite point of like, well, he was like, his injury did come in the pocket, right? On a kind of a freak deal, right? You don't know, you can't control, your arm hitting a helmet or your arm hitting Keldrick Falk's gigantic forearm, when it's going forward. But he's like, you can kind of control certain things whenever you're running the ball. Like you can slide, you can go out of bounds. The only thing is Mateer does not seem to want to do that. So can he help himself from taking an extra hit? Or like if he does pull the ball down and run, if they do the design QB runs, can he help himself from that? Like, can he slide? Can he get out of bounds? Can he kind of control some of those things? So I don't know, but I would, to your original question, I would expect OU to get a win with Mateer, but I don't think either way, Mateer or Hawkins, I don't think it's going to be pretty.
Okay, well, again, I'm not asking if it's going to be a blowout victory, guys. I'm just asking, like, is OU going to win? They can win by
you just need
one point.
You just need to score one more point than the other team. That's it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also kind of one of those things where it's like, look, if I think that the final margin of this game is going to be 3 points, right? For example, like that can very easily go one way or the other. It always does. You know what I mean? And so, like, that's kind of if I don't think OU can get separation, right? That's where it's kind of like, well, I mean, I have a harder time saying, oh, well, I expect this side to win or not,
Yeah, well, I mean, when they've played their 2 best teams this year with John Mateer, they weren't really able ever to get separation until it mattered.
Yeah.
That's kind of been a thing with this team. This team has shown an ability to make plays, and I mean, this season's story is far from, we still have no idea. We have no idea. Like, oh, you could lose, and we could all lose our minds on Saturday, and then 5-0 could turn into 7-5 very quickly in the minds of people because of the loss. I understand how things work. They can win, and everyone could think they're going to the playoff, even though they just beat a now 3-3 football team who has lost to all the Power 4 teams that they've played on their schedule. It is what it is. But this team has just at least shown me that they can rise to the occasion. It doesn't have to be pretty. They don't thrive on rhythm as much as like the Lincoln Riley teams did, where it was very apparent they have to score 40 or 50 points to win games because their defense sucks so bad. I think we're all very conditioned to think that that's the only way your offense is good, is if you look awesome, score a zillion points. OU's offense is what, 23rd SP Plus ranking, I think.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's top 25, but it's nowhere near what we as OU fans have been accustomed to over the last decade. But when you've got the number 1 defense in the country, and hell, their special teams is awesome. That's going to be a big, I mean, Matt, you kind of mentioned special teams a little bit ago. OU's got a decisive edge in special teams coming into this game. Kicking, punting, coverage, like in every facet of special teams, they have a decisive advantage over Texas. So you're talking about a defensive advantage over their offensive line and a special teams advantage over theirs. I mean, you're just asking whoever the quarterback is to rise above and perform. We've already seen Hawkins do that once in his career at Jordan-Hare in a game where I think he was asked to throw 19 times. He was okay when they would ask him to throw throughout the majority of the game. Didn't turn the football over, did what he was asked to do, and then despite basically 45 minutes of crappy play, he made plays. just made play and made a play, put his body on the line. That to me shows that that's the prove it that I've seen from Michael Hawkins. That's why I was excited that he stayed. Was that's a player that can forget everything that has not gone correctly and make a play. Because we've seen quarterbacks that have the NFL arm or have this pedigree and go make a play, Landry Jones, and then, oh, I dropped the football. Oh no, it's okay. I'm just going to be even keel on the sideline. We've seen that. OU has the ability in this game to just set it up for whomever's the quarterback, whether it's kind of a not 100% John Mateer or Michael Hawkins. And I'm going into this expecting that to result in an OU victory. That's how I'm going to watch the game. That's how I'm going to, I guess, cover it on no cap in the event OU wins or loses, and cover it on Sooners on SI. So, I mean, is that fair? Is that a fair thought to cling on to, Alan, or is that still too like that's one example against a bad team last year?
Oh, we'll see. Like, I mean, to me, that Auburn team last year was fairly close to the one we saw this year. So, I mean, no, like that game has been the one that I've kind of pointed to when I look at Hawkins and say, hoping like OU's offense wouldn't lose that much with Mateer versus Hawkins because, even if Hawkins doesn't make, isn't able to kind of, run the offense down to down as well as Mateer. He does bring stuff like the explosiveness with his legs that we think of Mateer as a great runner, and he is, but Hawkins has a different gear. I mean, he's just a different level of explosive. So, I mean, you can work with that. You can get something out of that. Um, so, I don't think that it's misguided, by any stretch. It's just it just feels kind of like in this case, oh, you might be kind of like just swimming against the tide. But like, if you're a fan and you think that you expect OU to win this game, I can't blame you. But again, like this just seems like such a very tight and like with the circumstances weird game. Like I don't know how better really to get down to it.
Matt, anything?
Saturday feels like a chance for, I mean, no matter who's playing at quarterback, it feels like a chance for OU's defense to go win a game. Like we keep saying, like they have a defense to go like that is national championship worthy, and I always keep hearing it's the saying, right, that they're going to keep you in every game. Well, I think they're good enough to go win you a game too. So I think this is one that they need to show up for in a big way.
Yeah, and like that is one thing is that I think that OU still is due some regression in the turnovers in a good way, right?
Yeah.
And so even though you just got two, and yeah, you scored against Kent State, like they are kind of due for some kind of big play from the defense that way to put points on the board themselves or to set OU up to get points.
Yeah.
So that is absolutely one thing that I think could end up being pivotal if OU does pull it out.
Yeah. I mean, turnovers are fluky in that um, sometimes the ball just like bounces right to you. But it behooves you as a defense to put enough pressure, whether it be physical or mental pressure on your opponent, that you force them to make mistakes that puts the ball into your hands. But it's fluky in the respect of OU dropped two interceptions against Auburn that were just right to them.
Right.
Peyton Bowen and even the Kendall Daniels one was, I I understand Peyton Bowen dropping it. It sucks, but again, he's a safety. That's why he's not a wide receiver. And it was slightly thrown behind him when he like jumped the route. If Jackson Arnold had thrown it correctly, Peyton Bowen probably houses that son of a bitch. But the Kendall Daniels one, that was the definition of fluky. And then Temple, towards the end of the game, they should have got their first turnover of the year in that game. There was a strip sack, and somehow OU didn't recover it. It's just kind of fluky, but they got their first two turnovers against Kent State. So, yeah, if they're able to just give Michael Hawkins or John Mateer, the offense, more opportunities, in better field position? Yeah. Because again, like going back to the special teams thing, I don't want to sit here and say just field goal them to death, but if you're my if you're worried about Michael Hawkins because he didn't show you enough against Kent State, I'm not asking him to drive the length of the field the majority of the time. Now, if Texas hits a bunch of explosive plays, then that changes that idea, of course, because then you have to match it or hope that the defense shuts that water off very quickly. But Michael Hawkins just needs to move the ball 15 yards past midfield, and then you give Tate Sandell, who's proven to be a really good kicker. He just got put on the Lou Groza list today. Hit a 55-yarder against Kent State. Looked like it could have been good from 60. Guy's got a cannon for a leg. That's a nice skill to have. That's a nice asset to have when you are down your starting quarterback if John Mateer cannot play. I mean, this seems like a bastardized version of the 0-1 game, guys. 14-3 of the Superman play.
Yep. That is exactly the archetype I have in my mind of what this game is.
And that game was won on, of course, with defense, timely offense. And again, sometimes successful offensive drives don't always result in points. When it's a defensive game, sometimes just eating clock and getting first downs and giving your defense some chance to rest and then putting your opponent into bad field position. In a game like that, that can be successful offense. Well, I'll be mad that they don't score, but it could be worse. But special teams as well. I think OU blocked a field goal in that game, and 3 points was incredibly important when it was 7-3 before Superman happened. So, did want to point out something Kobe McKenzie said on Monday because it was interesting. Because it's OU Texas week, so they're all coached to be respectful of Texas, don't say anything, blah 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 blah. So Kobe was asked about Texas offense, like what he thought about them, and I'm just going to read you verbatim how he answered. He said of Texas offense, they're really talented. Shockingly, if you look at their stats, it might say that they're one of the worst offenses. But if you break it down even deeper, when they get explosive plays on a drive, they are the number one offense in the country in points per game. I found that stat out today. I was pretty shocked because the stats don't say that unless you take a deeper dive into it. So he insulted them. He insulted them by stating the fact, their offense sucks. But then kind of patted them on the back and at least acknowledged that we know that they have the capability to hit explosive plays. So they at least know that. Alan, you and I kind of talked about this. I don't know what kind of stat that is because
I don't
it's
either.
To me, it just seems like run the touchdown play. Well, when you run the touchdown play, it's awesome. Why don't you run the touchdown play? Of course, when Texas hits explosive plays, they end up scoring points. But that's the thing is they're not able to do it that often.
Right. And so is he saying that when Texas does get an explosive play on a drive, they're the best in the country at also scoring on that drive? I don't know. I have a hard time figuring out even what he's saying there. I mean, I do think though that we can say, that Texas does kind of thrive with Manning going deep. That is the thing that they want to get to, right? And part and parcel of that, though, part of the reason why that's hard to do, when you can't run the ball. It's just,
Yeah. The one last little factor about Texas I wanted to talk about before we talk about Brent, then wrap up the show. Obviously Texas is desperate. They're staring 3-3 in the face. They've already been the fastest team in college football history to start preseason ranked number 1 and then fall out of the rankings. Here's what Texas is staring at. So obviously OU in the Cotton Bowl this Saturday at Kentucky. Probably. If Texas loses, it's not like a gimme on the road against Kentucky, but I would still expect Texas to win. At Starkville the next week against Mississippi State, that's not really a given. And Jeff Levy's offense has had some success against Texas and Sarkisian in the past. So that would be a tough game for Texas. Vanderbilt in Austin. Vanderbilt is pretty damn good. Bye week at Georgia. That's probably going to be a loss. Arkansas and Texas A&M round out their schedule both in Austin, but they're both rivalry games. So if you're talking about a 3-4 loss Texas team by the point of Arkansas and Texas A&M, they may very well end with 4 or 5 losses, and essentially be like a slightly better version of OU than last year. So this game for Texas is incredibly important, not just because it's OU Texas. And again, apologies to Sam Acho, but O comes before T in the alphabet. But it's big for them because if they drop this one, they have no margin for error the rest of the year. And their schedule is, we poke fun at it, but when Vanderbilt and Mississippi State kind of shows like that they're fairly good, I mean, their schedule gets tougher really quickly, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I don't know if this is a hot take. I don't think that it really is. I mean, I think they lose at least 4 games this year.
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's
think they're
part of the
pretty
thing
flawed.
is like, yeah, like I feel like in a certain sense, this OU game is a way to like kind of
Restart the
stem the
season for them.
bleeding or like, well, no, I think it's more like, okay, look, we're not going to be able to fix all this year. So if we're looking at 3 or 4 losses, let's make sure that we beat OU and at least keep a little bit of goodwill.
That's true. And that segues us into Brent Venables and the conversation that I wanted to have. Let me explain whenever I say, like, I expect OU to win the game. I think when OU being undefeated and playing a 3-2 team that has lost to the 2 Power 4 teams on their on their schedule and beaten the crap out of the Sisters of the Poor, with their flaws, when I see what OU's done and what Texas has done, yeah, I mean, it sucks that John Mateer might not play, but I would go into this game with the expectation that that team should win, and that team would be OU. That's not necessarily the same as me like picking OU to win, and hopefully I'm being clear with it. It's more of an expectation, and more not necessarily an expectation, a standard. If OU had lost to Michigan or lost to Auburn and walked into this game 4-1, even with or without John Mateer, I'd be like, I don't know if I'm as confident in this team as I would be had they been undefeated. Therefore, the standard for this team is a little bit lower. But because they've performed very well against their best opponents, and they have a defense that seems to be the best defense in the country and is gearing up to maybe open up the floodgates for turnovers, and Texas has their flaws that they have, the standard that I have for this game is just OU's the better team. Now, the better team doesn't always win in college football, and funky things happen in rivalry games. That's why this is kind of a hard game to call. But Alan, does that make a little bit more sense? I'm not necessarily
absolutely standard. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So with that in mind, this is going to be at the very least, the second big game that Brent Venables is walking into as the head coach of OU, where he's expected by a fair amount of people to win the game. And the only other game that I can kind of think of is OSU in 2023, and OU dropped that one. So, I mean, Matt, I'll start with you. How do we feel about Brent Venables, big game Brent, in a game like this, with the advantages he has and some of the flaws that he has, but now with a different type of pressure than he's not necessarily used to, because he answered the call for the Michigan game. That was a big game. Some people picked Michigan, some people picked OU, and he prevailed. How do you feel about this scenario, though?
Yeah, I think you might be the first person to ever say big game Brent. You might be the first one to pass that the big game moniker.
I feel like every other game's been a big game this year, so at some point it might happen.
It might as well happen. No, I think some things that are positive for Brent right now is that he's basically had like 3 weeks to prepare for this game. Especially with the Kent State. I mean, I feel like the Kent State install might have been like on a Thursday. Like, I mean, I'm sure I'm not giving them enough credit, but I felt like there was all right. Couple days here we'll spend on Kent State. The rest of these like 3 weeks are going to be preparing for our friends down in Austin. Um, but as far as the big games go, and this was what I was thinking about when we were talking about, or when Alan was just talking about Sark in Texas, like kind of seeing how the year is going, and it's like, all right, well, let's just make sure we beat OU. Like, let's make sure we beat them because we're still going to probably drop a few more along the way. That made me feel like OU against Alabama last year, where it's like we had to hey, just get one more for the bowl game and probably lose the rest of them. But hey, at least get this one, give the fans something to cheer about. But I don't know. I think Brent has more or less had 3 weeks to prepare for this game. That's a long time. Hopefully it bears out, especially with OU's defense. But yeah, as far as Brent in big games, I mean, we talked about in the lead up to the Auburn game, right? Like that was the thing I brought up was just like, man, he's just with the like overarching storylines against OU or like involving OU against the opposite team. It has not Brent has not fared very well in those games. So yeah, I don't know. There's an argument for like who kind of needs this one more, OU in like the I don't know grand sense, and Texas in like the right now. Holy shit, we might be 3-3 after this week sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. It's an advantage that Brent has the 3 weeks to prepare. I'm going to assume that between San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston, Texas probably game plan for OU a handful of times during that period of time. They had a bye week before Florida. I also wouldn't be shocked if they spent a little bit more time on OU than they did Florida, which is weird because Florida, not particularly awesome, but still talented, and you're going on the road and you don't want to drop the game before the Cotton Bowl. But I, I think for Texas, you lose to Ohio State. The Florida game's kind of immaterial. The OU game holds more weight than the Florida game. They could have beaten Florida, and that they lose to OU, then they lose some momentum. If they lose to Florida and beat OU, then they still have momentum, at least on the recruiting trail over OU. But Alan, like for this in particular, you'd said it from the Texas side of like, well, let's at least beat OU if we're going to drop 4 or 5 games this year. To me, like this is like Brent's killed some narratives this year, at least like for the moment, and that's good that you have to start there before we get anywhere else. And he started off on the right foot this year. But if he drops this game, I mean, then you're starting to put yourself in the same category as coaches like Gary Gibbs or I hesitate to say like John Blake or Howard Schnellenberger because he's not that bad. I mean, Gary Gibbs is about the only example where pretty good coach, all things considered. He had his one arm tied behind his back with probation and scholarship limitations at the time. But his biggest problem was couldn't beat Nebraska. Well, I mean, Nebraska was a machine in the 90s. No, nothing, just, it sucked, but whatever. He could not beat Texas, and Texas was just as bad as OU at the time. And if Brent drops this one with the advantages he has in this game, you don't want to be the coach at OU and then have a Texas problem. And him beating Texas would not necessarily mean that he owns them, because of course not. But if he loses it, that's where that conversation could start. And that's why this game is very, very important for Brent.
I mean, look, yeah, I agree with that totally, right? I guess my counter would be, well, like if he goes out there and they play well but lose, and they're playing with Michael Hawkins instead of Mateer, and Mateer comes back a week later or 2 weeks later, and they win out. I mean, yeah, you still have a Texas problem, absolutely, but man, like he'll have done a pretty damn good job of getting the team through the season, and on top of that, like showing that or the program itself would have made all the moves that needed to get back to kind of defending the standard, right? um so I, I don't know. I mean, it's the kind of thing where like again, much like I view this with Texas, like you lose some goodwill if you can't win this game. But I mean, I agree. I don't want to be the coach. You don't want, I mean, the way you put it, you don't want to be the coach with the Texas problem. That's absolutely true. You don't want to be Ryan Day right now, even with a national championship, in the sense that like it's still just out there. You know what I mean? Just hanging
Yeah.
over everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be weird. And look, I just don't want to have the conversation about like if Hawkins plays and then OU loses, Mateer comes back. Well, of course OU's going to be better, but it's like I mean OU has lost to backup quarterbacks.
Oh, absolutely.
So again, it's just a standard. Yeah, it sucks, but football is a game of sucks. Like this all sucks. Like I'm injured, I'm hurt. We don't have this guy. This guy isn't as good as we hoped that he would be, but you figure it out and go out there and do what you're supposed to do. And OU's got the tools to go beat Texas. And so that's why I have that standard for them. Real quick, how funny would it be if OU beats Texas and then they lose to South Carolina?
I wouldn't find it funny at all.
No, yeah,
I mean, just think, because we're gonna be over the moon, 6-0, like beat Texas. This is great. Flip all the recruits. Yeah, we're coming back. Oh God, we lost to South Carolina, and we've got Ole Miss coming to town, and and then Tennessee, and then Bama, and then Missouri, and then LSU.
I have always hated the placement of the South Carolina game for this schedule. And I hate it even more now that South Carolina has not started off well at all.
Yeah, like, it's the same thing, isn't it? As this Texas game for Texas. It's just it's not a rivalry, but it's like, oh hey, if we beat OU, man, oh well, things look better, right? Like
yeah. I mean, I'd said that the compass game for me for this OU team was South Carolina, but I mean, South Carolina is a little bit worse than even I thought that they would be. I mean, I've kind of moved that compass game to Texas. If this team is serious about winning, then they have to win this game for the same reasons that I said that Texas probably looks at the OU game and thinks like we cannot lose this, because if not, then we're in danger of losing 4 or 5 games this year. That's the way I see it too with OU, because like we said, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Bama, Missouri, LSU to round out your season. So you've got to, I know it's Michael Hawkins, perhaps. I know it's maybe a banged up John Mateer. You got to figure it out. And OU's got the ability to figure it out. And they've shown an ability on offense, just as an entire team, to figure it out. So that gives me confidence going into this game. Let us see here. Do we want to do score predictions? Are we confident? Are we at least confident that the score prediction that we might have in our head right now won't change Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday?
I'm not, but I'll go ahead and do it. I'll go on the record. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me type it out real quick. So we got game or score predictions, courtesy of the Spirit Shop in Norman. The Spirit Shop has been Norman's source for wine, beer, and spirits since 1976. We feature the biggest selection and best prices in town. Thousands of different wines, beers, spirits, and more. Live in Norman? We deliver all over town, every day, usually in under an hour. Let us bring the party to you. Go to our website and order online at www.thespiritshop.org or give us a call at 405-321-3100. That's 405-321-3100. In from out of town for the game? Come see us at the corner of Main and Berry, just 2 miles east of I-35. Take the Main Street exit and browse thousands of fine wines and hard-to-find bourbon in store. All right, Matt, you're going to be the first one.
All right.
What do you got?
Do you want to do with Mateer and without, or just straight up? No, okay, we'll go straight up.
Did we do that on no cap? I've already forgotten.
No, I think we did straight up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I can go straight up.
Yeah, let's just do straight up. Peyton doesn't want to probably make 2 graphics.
Okay, I got you. Give me. Oh boy, Give me 16 to 13 OU wins.
That's an old school SEC game if I ever heard one.
Yeah.
Alan?
All right. So here's how I envision this game going, right? It's late in the game. 7-3 OU leads. OU pins Texas deep in their own territory, right inside the 3-yard line. For some reason,
Teddy Lehman on the call.
Yeah, exactly. For some reason, Arch Manning is taking the snap from under center. He's not in the shotgun. Kendall Daniels gets brought around on a blitz. Trey Wisner tries to undercut him, picking up the blitz, but he goes right through the A gap. Boom! Hits Arch Manning in the arm. The ball flutters up in the air into the waiting arms of Kip Lewis. Strolls into the end zone. 14-3 Sooners win.
And it's important to note that Kendall Daniels was told earlier in the game to not jump.
Yeah, do not jump. And when he gets over the sidelines, Brent is going to read him the riot act. Yeah.
Yeah. Mike Stoops somehow tells Kendall Daniels not to. Somehow he's there. He's there somehow.
Oh. Chris Sims is watching from a studio going, no, not again, Daddy.
No, because he would be like, thank you. Everyone's going to start talking about this play instead of mine.
He's like, gee, that Arch Manning sucks, huh? Am I right? Like the guy wearing the hot dog costume. Who could have possibly done this? All right, so you are you serious? 14-3 OU or
14-10 OU. Fuck it.
Fuck it. There you go. All right. I believe in Ben Arbuckle. I believe that he will have an offense that Texas is not going to be prepared for, and it's going to help OU generate some quick points. I believe in this defense. I believe that they will be able to keep Texas from doing any fucking thing they want to do, despite the fact that I recognize Texas is still extremely talented, and they're going to have success. It's just going to happen. But I agree with the low-scoring nature of the game. I still think OU's going to crack 20. We haven't had one opponent crack 20 against us this year, and it ain't going to happen on Saturday. So I like 23-13 OU. And honestly, if John Mateer plays, I wouldn't feel much different about a score prediction. Because Texas defense is good, and it's just going to get to a point where if OU just gets a lead, they get a 10-point lead. Just kick their ass the rest of the game. You don't have to do anything spectacular. You're gonna have either a banged up quarterback or your backup quarterback, and with a 10-point lead in that defense, yeah, you're not going to throw the ball around and potentially undo everything with a back-breaking interception or a pick six or something like that. So, you can get a 10-point lead. I think they're good enough to do so even with Michael Hawkins. I think that they can ride it out from there. But those are the score predictions courtesy of the Spirit Shop in Norman. And Peyton, I'm sure we'll have his on the tweet Thursday or Friday whenever we post that on Keyhole Pod on Twitter and on Facebook. But guys, we didn't really get to talk about college football at large. Is there anything out there to jump out to you? I mean, Miami, Ohio State, probably the two teams that if you had to say who's the best team in the country, it's one of those two. OU did drop in the polls, which was, kind of weird, but frankly, it was weird that they jumped up that high in the first place to 5, but then I guess people kind of like, yeah, they're not that good. Maybe not yet. But is there anything else college football wise?
It's going well at North Carolina.
It's going well for brand building.
Yeah, Jordan Hudson's brand has never been stronger.
Yeah. I had no idea who that person was, but now I do. That's the power of marketing.
Well, did you see that? I guess Michael Lombardi, their GM, sent out like a 1,400-word letter to donors, like kind of like a trust the process type thing.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Belichick's gone like after this year or next year.
He might not even make it to the end of this year.
I was about to say,
is he going to be alive next year? He's old.
He's got a lot to live for though these days, man. Like,
I guess maybe so. Is Mr. T?
He said he feels young again. He feels young again. That's what he said.
is Mr. T. Keyhole going to have to release another statement in
I think so.
accordance with this 1,400 word? Do you think the donors read that, or do you think they said, "I ain't gonna read all that. I'm happy it happened," or "I'm sorry for your loss"?
Yeah, exactly. No, actually, Tom Fornelli did a dramatic reading of it on the Cover 3 podcast.
Oh,
It
nice.
really was very funny.
That's great. Man, first Jimmy Kimmel, now the UNC doc. I don't know, man. This is
yeah, exactly.
This keeps getting worse, man. No, that, and then did you see the Getty Images thing?
Oh
That
yeah,
happened?
like it's all his girlfriend, right?
Yeah, the photographer from Getty Images that was there to take photos of the game took 57 photographs of the game. 23 of them were of Jordan Hudson.
Well, I mean,
Like,
people probably needed like stock images of Jordan Hudson because
Yeah.
like, hey, we don't have any photos of her.
Yeah. Did she slip him $1,000 or something? Like, hey, just camera over, eyes over here, buddy. Come on.
Maybe he forgot
Make
he
me
was
look good.
working.
He sent in the wrong SD card to the.
Do we? Oops, I was supposed to go to the boys. My bad. How do we feel about Michigan's got a pretty big game this week. They play our old friend Lincoln Riley at the Coliseum at USC. The way Michigan State is, I mean, they're pretty good. They're a little bit better than I thought. They're competent. At least they're 3-2 right now. They have Washington as well after USC. They're 4-1. I don't think that they're particularly good. They've beaten a bunch of crappy teams. They got handled fairly well by Ohio State. But let's see, Washington at Michigan State, Purdue bye week, at Northwestern, at Maryland, and then Ohio State. If Michigan beats USC, guys, I mean, if you're talking about a situation where OU is 9-3, that's going to be like, if they can beat USC, that is going to help OU immensely. If Michigan goes into the Ohio State game with obviously just the one loss to OU, at the very worst, two losses, if OU beats a 9-3 Michigan team like that can truly help them. I mean, how do we feel about Michigan after a few weeks after our game with them, Alan?
Yeah, I mean they're clearly a better team than last year. There's no way around that. Underwood, I feel like each week when I watch him is getting better. I mean, I think that I think that they can get through with like a 9-3 type season. Yeah, absolutely. And that would be good for OU. I mean, 9-3 for Michigan means top 20, or for I think any Power 4 team probably means they're going to be the top 25. You get a top 25 win out of it. That's the most important part of it. So, um, yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good for them. The one thing, I guess the one thing to keep in mind for this week is, Michigan played last week, and even though Wisconsin, I mean, they rolled them. I mean, USC was off, so you never know. But and the travel stuff clearly is messing with these Big Ten teams. But I mean, I don't know. It's also Michigan's the kind of team that Lincoln Riley just seems to never beat.
That
Yeah.
and it's going to look really good when Michigan beats Ohio State again. Obviously, that's going to happen. That's going to look good for OU. So,
Goodness. Yeah, Underwood's, I mean, he's pretty good. Michigan's pretty good. I mean, that's a very good win for OU, and especially with an offensive line that is potentially good, definitely not great half the time. And they played extremely well against that defense. Yeah. I mean, that's another reason why I'm confident for this OU team against Texas, who has in their own right another great defensive line. So we're going to find out one way or the other. But anything else, guys?
I'm good.
Yeah, no, we'll have more stuff coming to you though this week, so be on the lookout.
Yeah, go check out keyholepod.com, everybody. That's the free website. Look forward to Blatant Homerism, Alan Kenny's weekly column. Like I said at the beginning of the show, patreon.com/through the keyhole. You can go find some extra stuff written by Alan Kenny and myself, the Monday and the Friday post. Extra podcasts as well. The No Cap recap definitely on Sunday around, probably afternoon or so. Look forward to that for our patrons. So go join the fun if you have not done so already. Leave a 5-star rating and review.
And I'll be doing an annual podcast I do this week every season. I won't.
We are doing it.
I won't spill the. I mean, if you've been following us for a while, you know who it's going to be. That'll be hitting your feed soon.
Looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. Okay, so just another reason why Through the Keyhole's fun. So it is what it is. It's OU Texas week. I'm ready. I'm already mentally at Nate's Seafood on Friday with Matt, annoying him, and then already mentally in the Cotton Bowl, the hottest stadium on earth. It's truly the just absolute aluminum, sunlight, UV rays. Just don't even think about it. It's an experience and it's fun. But yeah, Peyton Guthrie wasn't here, but look forward to hearing his thoughts on the No Cap recap if he's not working. So again, another reason why you need to go check out patreon.com/thekeyhole. But everybody, thank you so much for listening to the show. We truly appreciate it. But for the absent Peyton Guthrie, for Matt Burton, for Alan Kenny, myself, Brady Trentham, see you later, everybody. And until next time, Boomer.